All right, I see why they call it Monster Hunter Rise. It's because my faint counter is going to keep rising. Pidgey hunts. Welcome back to another Monster Hunter Journal where I document my entire journey of playing Monster Hunter Rise with the goal of hunting every single monster at least once on my own. If you're into that journey, be sure to subscribe and follow along. I've also got another journal series for Monster Hunter World, and I'm also doing Iceborne at the same time, same deal. And now I'm also doing Witcher 3, so if you're into that, join along for the journal series here on Hey Jay. So let's talk about this past week's Monster Hunter Rise, which saw me slay quite a few monsters. I was really trying to get out of low rank, aka village rank, and I did not succeed. Village rank just goes on. It's so long and long, like, what's his name? Almudron. And I just realized now Almudron rhymes with long. I have a lot to say about Almudron. We're going to get to him in a moment. But all I can say, village rank, level 4 and under, all done. I got all the check marks. I'm passing my classes. I think I've got, 2 more levels of village rank. And then we're done. We can move over to hub rank. And we can start grinding there to eventually get into high rank and catch up with all of you on the update. As much as I made fun of the credits rolling last week and the story being very short, there's a lot packed into this game. And not that I had any doubts for a Monster Hunter game, but man, the more I tackle this, the more I'm just like, it just keeps going. I'm okay with that. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. So I've taken some of your feedback, and I have to say, this is one of the things I like about having weekly progression, like checkpoints with all of you. I feel like you're all my managers, and I get to check in with you, and I'm like, all right, here's what's going on the work. Here's what's going on the job. I think my Palamute is really not being honest with me. I think he just tells me what I want to hear. And then the Palico, I think he's secretly plotting to take over. What should I do? And a lot of you pointed out the fact that my Rising Wyvern attack, the new switch skill that I had been trying to use for the last few weeks, I was just not very good at it. And a lot of you said, why don't you go back to the original one, which pulls you and closes the gap with the monster so that you can do more damage instead of whirling up in the air, pretending like you're cool, but achieving nothing. And I was like, you know what? You're onto something there. So I switched my switch skill once more. We went back to the old toss the bug, pull me close to the monster. And oh man, after so many times of getting tossed in the air and not knowing what I'm doing, this is way more in line with my natural moveset. And I felt my damage just really skyrocket this week in terms of how much I was being aggressive on the monster. It's like, oh, you're running away, let me get in there, bang, bang, bang. Oh, you're running away, let me get in there, bang, bang, bang. And even if they weren't running away and they were about to do an attack, I'm like, I'm not sure what you're gonna do, let me get in there, bang, bang, bang. It just flowed so much better. So I'm not sure if these are the only 2 attacks I get to play with. I really hope that there are more variances that I can test with. I would really like that. All right, so let's get into our monster grind. Starting off, I knocked out Puke Puke. Puke Puke is always a good time. In fact, I enjoyed my first encounter with Puke Puke in Rise more than I did in World. Here I am comparing the games I said I would never compare, but can't help it. On stream, I was saying, did he always have that tail blast attack? Everyone said yes, but I don't remember it being used as much in low rank the first time I fought him. I remember the tongue being the biggest thing where he's spitting poison. But in this one, I was like, oh, they're using the water version of Puke Puke, the coral Puke Puke's tail attack more here. Now, I could be completely wrong, but I just felt like he was using his tail blaster a lot more often in low rank Rise than he was in low rank World. So that threw me off a little bit. But other than that, Puke Puke has been slain, and another one bites the dust. Toby was the next one, and I was a little bit scared of this one, truthfully, because while low rank has been slapping me around a little bit more than it should, as you can see from the faint counter, which is now in double digits, and I'm not even out of village rank. What is going on? But Toby Kadachi, this thing was terrifying to me in World the first time I met it because it was so fast. And people said, oh, they really boosted him in Rise. So I was going into this fight with my guard up of okay, this is going to be tough. And honestly, it was the first time I looked at Toby and I was like, you're not as fast as I remember. Probably because I fought so much more aggressive and faster monsters since. Toby was just oh, you're jumping, you're roaring. I know exactly what you're going to do. His attack projection felt a lot more clearer now that I knew him and now that I had experienced much faster battles before. So Toby Kadachi was not as difficult as I was anticipating. And I didn't go in fully prepared either, where like I had my full anti-paralysis armor on. So overall, Toby was pretty easy. Then there was this one match. It was my first arena match, and I was really looking forward to it. It's called the Third Wheel, and it has one of my favorite monsters. I think it's safe to say my favorite monster right now in Monster Hunter Rise is Tetranodon, I believe his name is. Big chunky boy. So Tetranodon and Azeros. So you're the third wheel, or maybe Azeros is the third wheel. Who knows? It all depends on perspective. And you're in the arena, and again, it was just a fun time because they didn't really pose much of a challenge to me. This was really me just having fun experimenting with my moveset, playing around in the arena for the first time. At one point, I was like trying to hide on a tower to like observe the battlefield and see what's going to happen, not realizing those towers can collapse. And Azeros was just like, rah, 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 and while Tetradon was like sniping me with his water gun, and I was like, what? This breaks. But it was a good time. In the end, they both fell. But I'm liking these arena battles already being introduced in Village. Next, Mizutsune, my first like official Mizutsune fight that isn't a demo. So the only other time I fought Mizutsune was in a demo. It was super hard. It took me 30 minutes. I died multiple times in the demo. So guard was up here. I think it really helped that I knew what its attack set was. I also knew, I was also in Village quests. So Mizutsune did not kill me, if I remember right. And it was just a lot more fun to play now that I knew what to anticipate when I had like the blast and where to get into. Playing really close and aggressive seemed to be working in my favor here. So Mizutsune again, fair fight. Now we're getting into dangerous territory. Rathalos. Finally got to fight Rathalos. And I have to say, this made me think of a whole different time. The first time I met Rathalos was in World when I think I was like picking berries or something. I don't know. And then there were some cows mooing in the background, dino cows, and Rathalos just swept in. But I didn't see him. I heard him before I saw him. And that was my first introduction to Rathalos. I was just like, whoa, what's going on? This was one of my highlights for Monster Hunter World, where I didn't even know such a monster existed, such a creature existed. I didn't know what it looked like. And it was intimidating. It was scary. I was like, I have to fight that eventually. And I was terrified. There's even a journal on it where you can see my original reaction to it. That made me realize I missed that. And I think this was in other Monster Hunter games. I could be wrong, but the fact that in Rise, you're never introduced to a monster optionally where you're like running around and you go, oh my god, what is that? And that was an experience that was so special to me in my journey. I really think it is unfortunate that players who are getting into the franchise for the first time in Rise cannot experience that fear and that awe of discovering a new monster simply by roaming on a low rank quest and just being shocked and surprised to later have to fight it. So anyway, that just made me remind me of my first time with Rathalos and how I missed that. But the fight with Rathalos, I was like, all right, I know how to fight Rathalos. I went in and I got slapped hard. I don't know why. I don't know why it was so hard to fight Rathalos, but he was juggling me and fire blasting me, and I had a lot of troubles keeping aggro on him and sticking to him. And I think the flash bombs were not working as good as I was hoping for. And I just did not have control of the fight. The way that I turn the fight around is by grabbing a monster and bringing another monster to help me into the fight. And then just being a little bit more defensive. But this Rathalos fight, I was just surprised. I was like, I know Rathalos. I know how to fight it. Why am I struggling so much? I don't have an answer. But he did a good job at not being a pushover. And I think maybe it could have been my own cockiness too, because that sometimes gets the best of me. But anyways, it was a fun fight. Love fighting my familiar monsters. I don't know if they tweaked something about them because yeah, I got slapped around quite a bit. The next fight I think was one of two very difficult fights this past week. Almudron, the big hermit monster, and I love the design of this character. When I saw him in a trailer for the first time, I was like, I can relate to this thing as someone who hermits in his own home most of the year when there isn't a pandemic going around. And I thought it was gonna, I knew he was a mudslinger. I love his big beard. What I did not know is how long this is. Like, he just goes on. His tail just like sweeps half the map away when it swings. His big like mud hammer Like, he jumps and extends. So my play style is very getting close and like kind of stay mid-range. But that mid-range, when I'm looking for opportunities, was a death zone. Like, he was slamming me hard there. So I had to adapt and come up with a new playstyle for Almudron, where it was get in, be aggressive, and then when I was starting to observe when he was being more aggressive, I actually went long range. So I would actually get on my Palamute, which started synergizing as a whole new way to play for me, where I get in up close, do my damage, summon the Palamute, get out, and sharpen as I'm like observing from really far away. That strategy proved very useful, and the fact that I can have that speed and mobility of the Palamute while sharpening is also helping me get over the fact that I lose my sharpness really quick with this weapon. So I'm finally getting into I found a whole new way to jive with my weapon, my Palamute, my gear, and my play style, so that now I'm playing in a way that is a lot more comfortable. Get in, do your damage, get out, recoup, reassemble, get back in, keep doing it. So once that clicked, and I love it when things click in this game, Almudron was no problem at that point. Still though, terrifying how fast and long, so long. All right. After this, last week I talked about how these new like license quests come in. So if you keep grinding village quests without touching hub quests, which is what I'm doing, you eventually unlock special licensing quests, which lets you skip hub unlocks if you want. I won't. So we did one last week, and now we unlocked the second one this week, which pits you against the Great Izuki, Bishuten, and Magnamalo. And you have to do it kind of one after the other. And I was a little bit concerned about a rematch with Magnamalo, but overall, smooth. Great Izuki, Bishuten, and Magnamalo, they all went down pretty easy. Now they do have reduced health in this case, but also my new playstyle of getting close and the Palamute far really did wonders for me with Magnamalo. And also the fact that I now have my like pull in close move, all of that combined to make a much easier fight, which just goes to show you how crazy it is when you actually learn the mechanics of this game, how much easier, or not just learn the mechanics because I know them, but when you find the right mechanics for your playstyle, it's just night and day. So we unlocked that, which now unlocks, I think, the final license quests, special assignment 3. I have not taken it on yet. That's probably next week. And then the last fight of the night was against a Gos Harag. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right. But whoa, this thing hit me so hard. It hit me all the way back to like 2020. Again, cool monster design. I love how he like ices his hands and he has like blades, and then he'll like try to attack you, and if you're too far, he's just like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna throw my blade at you. And he's fast, like he's chunky, but he's fast and he's aggressive. And again, I play a little bit aggressive in the beginning, which I don't know why. I used to be, I think, more defensive in World, maybe because everything's more like epic, so I'm like, let's stay away. But in Rise, because of my speed and mobility, I tend to be more aggressive, and I'm just like, let me get in here, let me fight you, and I'll figure it out. And then I faint, and then I'm like, okay, let's see what you're doing. Fun fight, Gos Harag, but man, was I sweating. Like, this was hard, and I'm still like, this is just village quest. I've seen the next lineup of monsters just in 6-star for village quest. I'm like, okay, that's gonna be hard. And I'm like, I still have to get into hub quest, which is harder. And then there's high rank quest, which is going to be harder. And then there's eventually G rank or master rank quest, which is going to be so hard. And then I have apex monsters. And I'm just like, I'm already at double-digit faints. I was supposed to get through village quest with no faints. What's wrong with me? How high is this counter going to go? I think I'm going to struggle more in Rise than in World long term. But I'm having a good time. It's fun. And man, you guys weren't kidding when you said the difficulty is going to pick up, because it's picking up. And I'm not even out of like the tutorial gates yet, and I'm already starting to be like, whoo, can we take a break? But that's I don't know if I will. I'm going to really try hard next week to finish village quests. So I only have to clear out a few more in 5-star. I have quite a few in 6-star, but there's less quests. And I think next week village quest is closed shut, and we're going to be moving to hub quests, which is going to be a whole next leg of my journey. So really looking forward to kind of graduating to the next stage in this game so that I can eventually start doing multiplayer with all of you, which I think that's still months away at the speed I'm going and the size of this game. But yeah, it's a fun ride. We're enjoying it while we can. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next journal. And until then, keep it classy.